This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to your Cosmic Catch-Up, not for the week, but for the fortnight, the second half of August. Like I've said in the last episode, I'm doing August a bit differently because we have 2 really big weeks with eclipse season, and then we have 2 weeks in between that are lighter in terms of transit. So this is like a combo for week commencing the 17th and week commencing the 24th of August. And also a quick note that I will be taking a break in the second half of the month. So if you've been trying to book, my diary is currently closed for that fortnight, but it will reopen from early September. So what's been happening? Well, a lot in the first half, right? That eclipse on the 12th and 13th of August in Leo was a really big one. I'm sure you felt it. I definitely felt it. Even the week prior was just full of events really leading up to it. So it was a really big event. And as I'm recording this, like we're still in between in what is called the eclipse corridor because that eclipse is not over. The one in Leo, there's still like new beginnings, new things coming for us. Remember, the theme was stepping up for ourselves and shining our own light. And that is still unfolding, and it will unfold until the end of the month at least, okay? Potentially a month after. And then we have this new eclipse coming up on the 28th of August. So that's what I'm going to mostly focus on today. But that is already at play to some extent as you're listening to this because we're building up. So we are not in a quite kind of normal space right now. That's what I want to say first of all. So if you notice people being quite reactive or emotional or feisty, or it could be yourself, like just have a lot of patience and compassion because everyone is going through this eclipse corridor and tunnel, and most people are not even aware of it, but you are. So you have an explanation, you have a framework for it. And just be very gentle with yourself. It's a bit of a marathon when you're going through eclipse season because it takes you about 6 weeks, 8 weeks really through this. So we are in this, like I said last time, until about mid-September, I would say, when things will just start to quieten down. I haven't looked at the astrology beyond that. But look, this year has been quite intense, right? Even before this eclipse season, like the astrology of July was a lot. So let me just come back to where I left you last time. So this week, the only main thing I wanted to share was on Friday, we have an opposition between Venus and Saturn. So Venus is in Libra and Saturn is in Aries. So this could bring up a situation, an external situation where you will be reflecting and thinking about the balance between what you want in your relationship and what you're trying to build for yourself, or with what's going on in your finances or your sense of self-worth and what you're trying to build for yourself for the long term, and especially what you were reflecting on. So this will force you to mature where you need to be. Like this is saying, hey, stop. Are you sure you're ready for this? Are we doing it? It's not negative, because it could definitely be like a reflection ending with, I'm actually ready for this, and feeling like committing that this is what this opposition can do. But it's going to highlight something where you will question yourself, and then it's up to you to answer it or to take a different approach, change things in order for you to be fully ready. Okay, so that's happening Friday the 21st. Saturday the 22nd, we will have the sun crossing the south node in Leo. It's not like the biggest transit of the year, but it's worth mentioning because on that particular day, you're likely to see the themes of that south node more clearly, because the sun will come and highlight them. So for a quick recap, because I covered that previously and I will cover it again, because this is the new nodal axis we're working with collectively now, the Leo Aquarius nodal axis. So the south node in Leo is there to make us release the need to be seen, the need to be validated, the need to perform. It's all this kind of shadow side of our ego where we don't feel like we are enough and we need to like get this validation or get this praise. And so with the sun coming over the south node, we may feel like this is an ego check for us. We may maybe just do this a little bit too much and see it. So what to do is to come back to authentic creativity, really, because this is about who you are at your core, because it's your sun. And the way to navigate this is to be authentic, really. And imagine, what would you do if nobody was there and nobody was clapping, right? If you had zero audience, you were just doing it for yourself, what would you do? That is a really good way to look at that transit. And then straight after that, because that's at 29 degrees Leo, the sun will enter Virgo. So we will get into Virgo season. It will be the 22nd in the US and in Europe of August. But in Australia, it will be the 23rd, so Sunday. Okay, so I think it will be a nice change after a lot of Leo energy, because we had the sun, we had Jupiter and the nodes in Leo, and we've had a big eclipse as well. So a lot of fire energy. And Virgo is an earth sign, so it's going to ground us after this and hopefully slow things down a bit. And it's a yin sign, and I feel like we need that after so much yang lately. So hopefully some respite for us all. So happy birthday to all my Virgo listeners. We will be in Virgo season until the 21st of September. So we do have some time to work with that energy. Let me talk to you about the core themes of Virgo season. The number one is a sense of purification and detoxification. So Virgo wants to remove what is not necessary and the thing that is just the extra burden or the extra noise that is not useful. So, and literally you can take that as, a detox for your life, for your health, your body. And that's the second theme. The body and health is really big with Virgo. So this is a great time to reconnect with your body and to kind of drop back into your body, check in with what you need, how tired you are, and seeing where you may be pushing your body too much. So bringing your body back in balance. It's the season for organization. So if you know Virgo people, you can call them maybe organization freak, OCD potentially. But they are people that are great at sorting things out and putting them in, color coding them, putting them in boxes. Like, they're fantastic and they can help you come into your house and just sort everything out. So this is the time to do that in your life, okay? And the final theme is Virgo is about being of service to people. And when I say service, that doesn't mean like giving endlessly, without anything in return. You know what I mean? Like the extreme of that is the martyr. You know, it's like, well, I'm bleeding myself for this other person. So that's not what this is about. This is not at your own cost. This is within the boundaries of your energy. So you look after your energy first, and then you invest some of that energy into helping other people, right? Whether that is through a craft, a skill that you have, or simply like lending a hand, okay? So some tips for you during Virgo season to look as to where do you need to put some order in your life. It could be literally your physical environment. Maybe your desk needs a really good cleanup. Maybe your car really needs a nice makeover. Maybe it's your bedroom, your wardrobe. Maybe it's your kitchen, right? And that is the word that you hear me say a lot about Virgo, decluttering. So the stuff that is just taking space, that is not useful, Virgo is about being useful, toss it, and you will feel better for it. So in the southern hemisphere, the start of Virgo season coincides pretty much within a week or two with the start of spring. So perfect metaphor, right, for spring cleaning. But likewise in the northern hemisphere, like you've had a lot of heat, very Leo, you know, sun energy. And maybe now things are going to start to cool down a little bit, and you know, you can just use that in between time to clear things out, to make space for when the colder weather will actually settle in and you'll have less energy. So put some order, and it could also be digitally. It could be like sorting out some files, use some apps, some inbox, all of that. Also, this is the season to take care of your body. So as I said, when you drop into it, like what has been maybe nagging at you, what messages have you been maybe getting, but because you were so busy earlier this year, you haven't been able to address it. This is the season to do that, to really value your body and to realize it's your number one source of energy, and without it, you can't do anything. And if you are tired because we're already 2/3 into the year nearly, this is the time to really take a break and to rest, right? So do like what I do. You know, it's not the end of the year yet, but it's not about really pushing ourselves so that we feel that then we really deserve the break. No. It's about stopping before we hit that point. So Virgo season is a great rest season. And also it's a season to improve where you can, whether it's improving in your mindset, great season for personal development, for coaching, for looking for things that you want to change, starting new habits, maybe having new routines, or it can be your body, like I said. It can be bettering your environment, some relationships, right? It's just that look of that lens of purification and improvement. And also in terms of your mind, Virgo can be quite, I won't say intense, but quite worrying about things because it wants to do so well. It's coming from the best place. And that's why Virgo people can be more prone to perfectionism than sometimes other signs, okay? And so under that season, be particularly aware of your inner critic. You know, that self-talk, especially the negative voice in you that says this isn't good enough, you haven't done enough, you should do more, or this, what you said wasn't good enough, your report could have been better. All of that, really, and try to shush that inner critic more during that season. I mean, do it all year long, but this is a really good season to focus on it. And finally, prioritize what is essential. Virgo, as I said, isn't about just giving and being useful for everyone. It is about being discerning. One of the greatest skills of Virgo people, if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, I have that. Or if you are Virgo sun, moon, or rising, the way to really navigate those placements, the invitation for you, is not to give all your energy and time or money to everyone that needs it. Basically, it is to look after your body, that temple and source of energy, and then be discerning with who you give it to. And that's okay. Make those judgments because you can't do it all. You can't have it all. This is a really good headline for Virgo season. You can't have it all. So where are you going to invest your energy and your time? So maybe a good season to start decommitting yourself from things, especially those that don't light you up, those that don't feel aligned with you. And with all the growth we've had this year, I know you know what that is. Like you have those answers for sure. So declutter that as well, right? And prioritize what is essential. That is really excellent Virgo work, my friends. Okay, so that's the main thing. And just to keep up with this theme of Virgo, 2 days later, on Tuesday the 25th, Mercury will enter Virgo as well. So we will feel even more that shift in season after that. And Mercury is at home in Virgo. Very happy there because Mercury is the brain, it's communication, it's information. And Virgo is very analytical. So you will find yourself really good in terms of your intellect, especially when it comes to being focused, being really sharp, and being able to see all the finer details. That's what Mercury in Virgo is good at. It doesn't miss anything. It's very thorough, and it's able to like look at the top picture, but also zoom right in at the same time and not leave anything unturned. It's what I call the X-ray. It's what I call the X-ray brain. So you're going to have more of that. And so use it to analyze what's not working. Okay. And if you have to do any work in terms of like research or numbers, things that where you need to be precise, this energy is really excellent for it. Okay. So that's the Virgo chapter. Now I'm going to change tune to cover the final and big update for this episode, which is the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Okay, let me first tell you when that's happening. So it's on the 28th for everyone, Friday, the 28th of August in New York, just after midnight at 00:18 in the morning. London, 5 a.m. in 18 minutes. In Australia in the afternoon at 2 o'clock in 18 minutes. All right. So that eclipse is taking place at 4 degrees 54 Pisces, so nearly 5 degrees. Okay. So this eclipse is in Pisces, so very different flavor from the Leo one that we've had. And I just want to say this one belongs to the previous nodal axis that we were working with. I know, it's mega confusing. I told you we were doing the Virgo Pisces nodal axis for the last 18 months, and we've been having eclipses since 2024 on that axis, okay? And that cycle is unfortunately not finishing cleanly when the next one starts, because we have started the next cycle, which is the Leo Aquarius nodal axis, and we've had an eclipse in Aquarius in February. We've had an eclipse in Leo just this month, but the two cycles overlap a little bit for about 6 months. Okay, so that's what this one is. This one belongs to the old cycle, but it's still very much relevant because it's in Pisces. It's the old axis, and it's eclipse number 6 out of 7 in that cycle. There will be one final one in February 2027 in Virgo, and then we will be fully done with that growth and the impact of those eclipses. So it's going to feel different being in Pisces. And when I see this headline, full moon in Pisces equals to me emotional as has to be, because water sign and a full moon together and an eclipse, which just means like a giant full moon. So take care. It's the first thing I want to say, my friend, because this may be really intense for you emotionally and for people around you. And if you have Pisces friends around, be really supportive and kind, because they might be feeling extra sensitive and will need all that compassion. That's the first thing I want to say. Okay, so being a full moon eclipse, something is ending. And because it's in Pisces, something will be shifting, something will be dissolving. Pisces is a lot about dissolving, it doesn't act like, it's not a chop kind of action, but something will be revealing itself. I think that's the right word for Pisces, okay? And it's mainly through feelings that those things will be revealed. And the feelings are going to come up to the surface. It's near the North Node. This is saying surrender. This is saying maybe you've been pushing something for some time. Maybe you've been trying hard to resolve it. Maybe you've been trying to control things. And my guess is it hasn't quite worked, right? Because it's still here. This is the time where you let it go, because the eclipse will take care of it. And it's kind of saying, let me take over here. And I think this is the portal where our human capacity and our human desires and will meets another dimension, because we're not here to do everything by ourselves, right? We support it by a loving universe. And so see that eclipse that way. Will it feel easy and nice? Probably not. Why am I saying that? Because Uranus is in the picture, okay? So Uranus is squaring this eclipse, both the sun and the moon. So it won't be subtle. You will see what will be revealed unexpectedly. It will be something that you did not anticipate and you could not anticipate. So don't try to guess, because Uranus just acts with this kind of shockwave style. But it's there to free you up. Uranus does that to liberate you, to give you a breakthrough. It's saying what has been stagnant here, let's just energize it with the shockwave. So it could be disruptive, it could be destabilizing for you, and you will feel all the feelings that come with it. Something will happen. And it will probably happen through communication, because the sun, which is in Virgo, is sitting right next to Mercury. So Mercury is very, very strong there. That means it will come through communications, conversations, or plans, things that will be organized. So watch out for something to happen, and something that will bring up a lot of feelings. And I want to say, don't act on things straight away, because it will be big. And being Pisces and emotional, you need to just let things just dissolve fully. And you won't have full clarity anyway during that eclipse. You will get a strong message. Yeah. And I just want to say flow with it. And because it comes from Uranus, it can be a bit of a shock to you. It might not be at all what you thought was going to happen. So flow with it. Remain open, trust that this is leading you eventually where you need to go. That's really what I want to say. And release the part maybe where you were hanging on to it, where you were trying to make it happen the way you wanted it, or the timing that you wanted. This is just I'm handing it over to the divine kind of thing. Okay. So in terms of the storyline, because every eclipse is part of that cycle. I've told you for the Leo eclipse what to compare it with, which was 9 years ago. This one is still part of the same cycle, so it's much more recent. But go back to what happened in September 2024. This is when the storyline really started. That is still ongoing with this eclipse. And it was in Pisces, so it's actually the last Pisces one. So that is a bit of the last chapter of it. And you will see how far you've come from there, right? But it is part of the same thread, okay? And just really look at that. And then if you really want to be a Virgo person about it, you can also review the other eclipses in the middle that were a mix of Pisces and Virgo, which were which were March 25, September 25, and March 26. These were other iteration in the story after that. But start with September 2024, and that might be enough to give you the picture of what's completing now. Okay. And I also want to say Mars will be in Cancer, which is another water sign. So that's also positive right now. That I think will bring us some support as we go through this big eclipse, because it will bring us emotional courage to look at what's happening and some kind of protective energy. Okay, so that's good to have, and we will take it. But it won't come through communication, and it will be unexpected because Uranus will just kind of blow it out of the park. Okay, so what to do under this eclipse? Because you don't need to do anything in particular. The eclipse will have its way. It's more like prepare yourself for it, and I will say stay in for this eclipse, as in stay indoors, stay home, and go inwards. This isn't an eclipse to be out with a big group of people expending a lot of energy. I wouldn't recommend that, especially if you've got Pisces energy in your chart. Okay. I will say also be mindful, don't overdo it with alcohol or things like that, because Pisces already has that effect on you. So the eclipse will be so strong, it will dissolve a lot of things literally. And so you don't need these additional substances. I will say pay attention to your dreams, to thoughts, ideas and visions, especially those that seem crazy, out of the blue, out of character, not something that you would normally do. This is very Uranus. And what your intuition is telling you. Very important. Create space to receive that message and that information. So don't be, like I said, in a place that is very noisy. Just try to allow some space in your life. Sit by yourself for an hour before going to bed, or sit in nature. Just create that vacuum, that vehicle for the message to come through. Very, very important. And ask yourself, what would happen if I stop trying to fix this and if I just let it go? I think this is such a good exercise. I'm actually looking forward to really implementing that on my own, that big letting go, because it's like an exhale after a lot of work, a lot of effort, I find. And things will happen how they're supposed to be karmically for you. That's what eclipses are. So yes, it will be a revelation that will change the picture for sure. And where in your life depends where 5 degrees of Pisces is. That's where you will have this breakthrough. And so look in your chart where that is. Otherwise, just flow with it and just trust. And we've had eclipses before in Pisces, so this is just building up. It's not something you're not ready for. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. All right, my friend, that was a lot, but that will really cover until the end of August, well and truly, because really these eclipses are so powerful. So great time to journal as well on all the insights and what's happening. I definitely recommend, if you haven't taken notes during the Leo eclipse, that you do it, because at the next Leo eclipse, I'll be saying to you, go back to what happened in August 2026. So same, take those notes. For me, I have notes of all my Virgo and Pisces eclipse, and I can go back and see what was the story, what's building. So I know the flavor. I don't know what will happen, but in a way, I feel a bit more prepared, because I have an idea of what part of my life I can expect things to come to a resolution. And that resolution will be coming through me handing things over. Okay? So hands off is the message for this eclipse. And lots of care for yourself and quiet. Peace, space, and quiet. I know my Pisces listeners will be nodding yeah, of course, I get that. you know what I mean. But if you are an Aries person listening, you've got a lot of fire energy, or Leo person, it might be a challenge for you, because you've got to ground and really kind of put that energy a little bit to sleep in order for higher truth to emerge. Okay. So I'm going to wish you all the best with this eclipse journey that we are on. Let it unfold and trust that it's really going to help you. It will bring what you need in your life and bring positive change in the long run. So take care, everyone. Have a good end of the month of August, and I'll be back with the next episode in September. Bye for now.